All right, so I told you guys we were going to be more consistent with the uploads. We're going back to back. All right, we made a video yesterday. We're making another one today. And today we're going to be looking ahead at the Patriots schedule. We're also going to be taking a look at the Panthers and comparing these two teams head to head. Now, let's first off take a look at them head to head. So, first things first, we're just going to take a look at this Pro Football Focus analysis here. Just defense, offense, and overall. So we're going to see how they match up, and it's going to be an interesting one. Let me put it that way. It might be closer than a lot of people think. The biggest thing is that Sam Darnold is the quarterback of the Panthers, and we do have a lot of experience against him. I could see this one being a total blowout in the favor of the Patriots, but I could also see this one being a close game or even a loss. Let's be real. This season, we don't really know for sure. We can't write anything as an obvious win, no matter what. But the matchup is certainly very interesting because our defense ranks 22nd and their defense ranks 8th. Our offense ranks 5th, but their offense ranks 31st. So there's no denying that our offense is better among offenses than their defense is among defenses, and our defense is better than their offense is, but their offense is really bad and our defense is really bad. So they're kind of like opposite teams coming together and facing each other. So it's going to be more about if our offense can outplay their defense or their defense can outplay our offense. And then if our defense can just hold their offense because they are 31st. I will say this, we struggled against the Texans, who are 32nd, the only offense that ranks below the Panthers offense at this point. It seems like anytime we have a terrible quarterback we're playing and then another quarterback comes in, it's not very good. Like the Jets, when White came in, it kind of seemed like there was a change in the atmosphere, and he ended up lighting us up, actually burning up our defense a little bit. And then I forget who the Texans quarterback was that was not Tyrod Taylor, but he also lit up our defense, and it was just really embarrassing. But we're going to be better off, I think, if Sam Darnold plays rather than whoever their backup is. Even if Sam Darnold plays really good, it seems like anytime we have to play a backup quarterback, it just goes really bad for us. So that might just be chance, and it might not really be that way. We might be better off if the Panthers backup plays, but I don't really know. Just based off of how the season has gone, it's better to play their starters than their backups. That just seems to be how it has gone. I will also say that the Patriots have improved. The Panthers are kind of descending a little bit. They started off the season really hot, and then obviously it's been really cold, except they did beat the Falcons, although the Falcons have been pretty mid-tier or bottom tier. This is an interesting matchup. I'm not going to write anything off as an obvious win, like I said, because the Panthers could just come out and play like how they did in the beginning of the season. I will say this, the two overall grades are 13th for the Patriots and 26th for the Panthers. So the Patriots, just on paper, are the better team so far this season. The season is young, though, and the Patriots have been improving, like I said, but I would not be surprised to see them come back down a little bit, facing the wrong team at the wrong time. And I wouldn't be surprised to see the Panthers improve at some point during the season. Either it could be this upcoming week. I really hope not, but I wouldn't be surprised if that does happen. I will say this, for the Patriots' playoff hopes, I do think this is a necessary win. This would be really important for this team, and it would be a third win in a row. But again, not going to write anything off as an obvious win. Now, here's my prediction so far for the records. I think my prediction was 10-7 for the season, and I'm pretty much sticking with that. I think a low-end guess would be 9-8, and at 9-8, we would take 4 more losses because we're currently 4-4, and we would take 5 wins, which I think would be a win. I think anybody would be happy with that anyway, with how the season started. Let me just take a look at the schedule real quick and tell you which games I think would be wins and losses in this scenario. In order for them to go 9-8, and this isn't totally necessary, they could totally lose against the Panthers and then beat the Bills or something, do something like unexpected like that. Wouldn't surprise me, but I think the most obvious path to 9-8 would be beating the Panthers, and then probably losing to the Browns, beating the Falcons, then losing to the Titans, and then probably losing to the Bills twice. I think that'd be the road to taking 4 losses. And in that scenario, they would beat the Panthers, the Falcons, then the Colts, the Jaguars, and the Dolphins. These are all teams that on paper the Patriots should beat, but they have lost to some teams that they should beat because if you ask me, they should have beat the Dolphins week 1. Should have been more competitive against the Saints. And then there was a couple losses in their Buccaneers, Cowboys that they should have maybe won, at least one of the two. They were in positions to win those games, and they probably should have beat the Texans more handedly. So things are coming pretty unexpected. They narrowly beat the Chargers. It was a good win, but let's be real, that could have just as easily been a loss. So it's tough to say with the road ahead. And I think if all things go perfect for the Patriots, this is how I would see it going. I could see them going 11-6. That would be absolutely ceiling level, performance for closing out this season. Obviously, anything's possible. They could totally go undefeated, or they could totally lose every single game from this point forward. Anything is possible in this world, but I would say this is the most likely two scenarios. And with an 11-6 uh, season-ending record, I would say at that point they would probably be losing to the Browns and then the Bills once. That means they would have to basically beat the Panthers, the Falcons, the Titans, the Bills once, the Colts, the Jaguars, and the Dolphins, which would be extremely difficult to do, obviously, because any NFL team is hard to beat at. You're never going to win an insanely easy game. You have to work hard to win it, and things have to go in your favor for you to win those games. So, at this point, going on a 7-2 run would be extremely difficult and extremely impressive. And I think if they did that, they'd be going into the playoffs pretty hot. But I think at this point, a very realistic outcome for the Patriots would be to go 9-8. I think that's a very realistic prediction at this point. That probably does get them into the playoffs. And then we would have to see what happens from that point forward. But again, best case scenario is going to be 11-6. They have really impressed this season. I mean, especially as of late, and I wouldn't be surprised if they go on a good run here. Close out the season 9-8, or maybe 10-7, perhaps wouldn't be out of the ordinary. Absolute worst case would be 8-9 or under. Obviously, I think 9-8 is a very realistic and very conservative estimation for this team. The problem here is that the first half of the season for us was the easier half, I would say, on paper looking into the season. But then the Saints were a very tough team. The Buccaneers, very tough. And then the Cowboys, very tough. And that wasn't exactly expected at the beginning of the season. The Saints were not supposed to be as good as they were on paper. Cowboys, nobody could expect what they've been able to pull off. The Dolphins was the only loss where it's like, okay, that was not against a good team. That's the only loss they have to this. I mean, the only win they have to this point in the season. So I think it's been about this team meshing, all the free agents and rookies and everybody getting together and really getting things going. And I think that's what's happened to this point. They're working as a team and things are getting better. So even though on paper we do have some very difficult games ahead, especially the Browns, the Titans could get hot. Obviously, I think Derrick Henry is out. So that does unfortunately play into our favor. I would never wish for somebody to be injured, but that does make things easier for the Patriots. Obviously, the Bills are tough. And then the Dolphins, we already lost to them, so who's to say? And I mean, usually when we face them at the end of the season, that's a tough game. So there are some tough games ahead, and I would say it's equally as hard as the first half. But the only thing we have going for us is that this team is meshing better and better and better. So the idea here is that hopefully this team stays healthy, they continue to improve, and that's what's going to allow for them to potentially win 9-11 games. I think that is a fair estimation. It could be lower, it could be higher. I don't think this is the year they make a Super Bowl run anyway, but it would be nice to see them improve, work better, because going into next season and the seasons ahead, this season now will impact how they do in the future. So I hope to see them improve, continue to mesh, and we don't take those close losses anymore. I want to see them close it out. So hopefully we can close out this season on a good note. Let me know what you agree with, what you disagree with, and in the comments down below. I'd be very curious, but I do think that 9-8 is a very conservative and very fair estimation. Whether you don't like the Patriots, whether you like the Patriots, that would be probably nearly equal performance with how they did in the first half, closing out the season in the second half, doing a pretty similar, having pretty similar performances and pretty similar caliber there. So let me know in the comments down below what you think. Also, like the video and be sure to subscribe for the best Patriots content on YouTube. I'll see you guys in the next video.